welcome to the NT Recap. We've had an interesting past week, so maybe let's get into what everyone is seeing and talking about. Grey nomads and bikinis. Ooh, what do they have in common? We're also talking about youth crime reforms, lots of interesting developments in that space, and also about how Telstra lost its RAP status. Serious issue, but probably not something that you're thinking about naturally. I'll talk about it later. But I am SOPHIA EMBERSON-BAIN. To my left is Thomas Mayer. To my right is SINCLAIR Hunt. Now, SINCLAIR, you went out with Matt and Damo this week. Don't tell us what you got up to. Thomas is very excited to know. But where did you go?
So we went out to CORROBOREE Billabong and had a bit of a time out there on the water. So, yeah, it was good.
Oh, okay, don't tell us any more.
No, okay.
But there are lots of crocs and barras there, so I'm really interested to see. Yeah. You need to stick around for that. But you also need to stick around because we had two guests on the show this week. I talked with AANT CEO Anthony Hill and also Holly Scott, who is a crash survivor, and she tells her inspiring story that hopefully is take-home messages for us all. But before we get to that, let's get into it. Now, I promised to tell you what grey nomads and bikinis have in common, and it is that, well...
Can't wait. Enlighten me.
Sounds scary.
Well, it's that they're all in the NT. I mean, the NT is packed with it. Grey nomads are apparently filling caravan parks, backpackers taking up hostels, which were previously closed during COVID. Hotels are packed, interstaters can't, filling it all. But it's just nuts. I heard the roads are crazy. According to the NT News, 107,000 self-driving visitors will visit the NT, which, if you put that into perspective, is just under half the population of the NT visiting the NT.
Yeah. I say, pack them up, pack them in, let it begin. Like, just fill the boots, guys. Spend your money. Obviously, if you're coming from a COVID area, do the right thing. Tell people where you've been. But look, I mean, it's good for the territory. It's good for businesses. Some of those businesses have really been struggling over the sort of last 12 months. So it's good to see a few of them get back up on their feet.
Yeah, we're seeing them on scooters.
It's caused a real buzz too, like I've been out of the territory quite a bit, but some friends have said how they've seen all these people walking around in bikinis and everything, and
or on scooters.
Bikinis on scooters. Yeah,
no,
it's all happening.
It's crazy. But the downside is that I think there are lots of people who want to stay here are struggling to find accommodation. We just don't have enough accommodation for everybody. Yeah. Darwin's median rental price is the third highest in the country. And according to some reports, it's cheaper to buy houses in the NT than it is to rent. And that's just saying so many things. People, I mean, landlords are increasing prices.
I mean, no one wants to see it happen either, because some of these families are struggling to find a place to stay. You read reports about it all the time, and that's not a good thing, especially if you've got kids in tow. It's pretty tough for people out there.
Yeah. And I heard Darwin almost ran out of beer, which is another bad thing.
That would cause riots if that happened.
Can't have that going on. No. Especially with the dry season coming up, there's going to be a lot more functions. A lot more concerts, a lot more grey nomads in bikinis. So we've just got to make sure we've got stuff there for them to drink.
The grey nomads are not in the bikinis, but I mean, that would be interesting to see.
Well,
are they? Let's talk about something that interstaters and tourists can't get around, which is youth crime reforms. Thomas, you've been really involved in this space, so can you tell us what your concerns about this all are?
Yeah, there's great concern from Aboriginal peak bodies for medical health. There's NARJA, the legal representative of Aboriginal people in town, is really concerned that the NT government is going to take us backwards as far as how we address youth crime. It's quite ignorant of the history of the territory and in the way that Aboriginal people have been treated. And 100% of youth, a lot of the time, in detention are Aboriginal people. And it's the impact of colonisation. And it's actually the impact of failed policies, and failed policies are tough on crime. We know from evidence that tough on crime doesn't work. So there's a lot of organisations and experts that understand this that are saying to the NT government, if you do this, yeah, you know, a lot of people misunderstand this and think that's a good thing, but the truth is that it only makes crime worse. It doesn't help the victims, it doesn't help the people that are suffering social issues and end up committing crime.
It doesn't act as a deterrent at all, does it? Especially in those early stages. You've got to, you know, stop the problem early before, you know, unfortunately the kids sort of go in that direction. You've got to stop it.
Yeah, none of us are ignoring that there's a crisis, right? There is a crisis with youth crime. It is a real problem in the Territory. But the point is that we know that tough on crime doesn't work. That the youth bail reform, for example, that removes the opportunity for a judge to decide whether or not someone should get bailed in certain circumstances, but a judge should always be the decision maker in that. It shouldn't be forced by law.
I think, you know, the current affairs issue that heated up this debate really got different, both of the political parties talking about this issue and putting it front and centre. Obviously, CLP put forward their legislation last week that was knocked back. Labor are putting forward theirs this week, I believe. And it seems as though that both parties are saying that they want to be tough on crime. They're saying that they have different laws, but they really seem so similar in just missing the point. And the point is that it is not just a poof, change bail legislation and no more crime in the NT.
So they're just saying this to get votes? Is that all it is? Like, I mean,
well, yeah,
saying,
that's
you have
why
a tough on
CLP
crime, you know, gives you vote.
Yeah, that's why the CLP is, you know, beating their chest about it. But we have to
right.
remember the CLP had control of the Territory for a very long time. And this mess that we're in, all of the social issues that have, you know, snowballed over years has a lot to do with their failure.
Stemmed from it,
and they're pushing their agenda again, tough on crime. Tough on crime, it doesn't work.
But Sinclair, I know that you've interacted people who have really been affected by I guess crimes and really want something done.
I mean, it's got to start somewhere, and it's got to start at home. You got to teach kids the right way about doing things to make the right decisions, and as well as keep them busy. Like, you know, problems with kids roaming the streets, give them something to do. Like, you know, get them into sports. I know it's tough for a lot of families, but you know, schools do have government vouchers. We've talked about this before. In Iceland, they used to have a bad youth crime problem. The government chipped in, gave them free sports, free art programs, free, you know, community building programs, and they've got like zero youth crime now in Iceland, and that's where it's got to start. They've got to keep the kids busy, active.
The fundamental thing here is care.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know, if you care from at home, they'll like being at home. But if they're not getting cared for there, they're going to go elsewhere.
It's a big issue, and I think, look, we can't keep talking about it because it's such a big issue. But another thing that I found interesting last week when I was reading the newspaper is that Telstra lost its RAP status. Now, RAP stands for Reconciliation Action Plan, and companies can voluntarily sign up to a reconciliation action plans. I think 1,100 organisations have RAP plans. The highest status is Elevate status. Rio Tinto lost its RAP status after it blew up, you know, the Pilbara, and, you know, terrible. And now Telstra has lost its RAP status recently because the ACCC took it to court after it engaged in allegedly unfair dealings when it tried to sign up Indigenous people to post-paid plans. They didn't understand the language. They didn't understand the contractual terms. Telstra employees in the store kind of lied about that they had employment so that these kids could sign up to, sorry, not kids, these adults could sign up to these plans. People were in debt over $7,000. Somebody's in debt $19,000. It's just almost a tick and a flick box that these companies are doing.
It's the opposite of reconciliation, isn't it? I mean, it's continual exploitation of people that, you know, that are really struggling. And I mean, it's good that, you know, Reconciliation Australia have withdrawn their you know, their status. It's important.
I mean, it's pretty disgusting that this can happen in this day and age, like being exploited like that. I mean, a lot of those people, it's not their first language and they're just getting scammed.
Yeah, and it's sad that it's not making headline news, I think. But we've brought it to light, but hopefully more can be done. In the NT, there's not very many companies that have our RAP plans. some are on your screen right now. They're different statuses. So I would challenge companies also to think about whether you should engage in a wrap plan. But let's chat with Matt and Damo because they were in Corroboree this week with you, and I'm excited to see that.
Live to tell the tale.
Let's see what happened.
So I was talking to Sinclair the other day, and I happened to mention to him that I have never caught a barramundi. Not once in my life have I caught a barramundi. And his reaction, shock horror. So we've hired out a barbecue boat down here at Corroboree Billabong, and hopefully today I'll get onto my first barramundi.
So you want to try and get a few shallow lures going, trolling in the shallow areas, try and get those barra on the tube up top where it's warmer. Hopefully we get Damo onto his first barra. Got the net there ready to go, just have to put something there now.
One of the best things about Corroboree Billabong is getting the drone out, and the shots that you get are unbelievable.
Yes!
Well done, man.
Yes! There you go. That's a barramundi, ladies and gents. I'm going to give him a kiss, Rex Hunt style, and put him back. Woo! Catch you later, buddy. And he's off. He's off. Look, there he goes. Ah, just caught a barramundi! Woo! Now I've got to catch a big one. Let's do it.
I don't understand the fascination with catching a barramundi.
Yeah, mate, if you don't know now, you'll never know, all right? But I've got the itch. I've got the itch, and the only sort of cream I need to put on it is sunscreen, all right? Yeah, I caught the bug when we were out there. It was very exciting stuff. And if you're a bloke who lives in the NT and you haven't caught a barramundi, what are you? You're not even a bloke, are you?
No, well, it's not even a territorial.
Have you caught a barramundi?
I have.
Oh!
I have caught a
I thought I was
barramundi.
going to get him on that.
Oh my gosh, guys. But well done, Sinclair, going out with them and teaching them, showing them the ropes.
It was just good to have the boys out there, getting amongst it, and just the drone footage and the photos and everything we saw was just magical.
Looked very hot out there, mate. What'd you have for lunch?
What did we have for lunch, boys?
Oh, yeah, someone forgot the esky, didn't they, Matthew?
Stuff the esky. Look at all the shots we got.
Oh,
I believe it was salted macadamia nuts, an apple and a banana.
Sounds
Mate,
desperate.
there was no room for the esky anyway. The boat was too small.
yeah, it brought a banana on the boat, didn't even eat it. Just left it there the whole trip waiting for something to go wrong.
Who doesn't bring a banana?
Well, it was character building, guys. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and you got some magical shots there.
I can't wait till next time. Yeah, thanks for that, Sinclair. Much appreciated, mate. And I did indeed get that barra fever.
He's still talking about it. It's ridiculous. I can't shut him up.
Well, nice to talk with you guys. I don't understand it, but I appreciate you understanding it.
That's all right.
How
I appreciate that.
diplomatic. Okay. See you next week, guys.
See you guys.
See ya.
Oh my gosh, guys, hilarious. Well, but tell us what's happening this week in the NT, Sinclair.
There's heaps going on again, guys. We've got a few gigs down in Alice Springs at the moment, at the Araluen Arts Centre there. So Enlighten Life, which is a bit of a yoga meditation 2-day workshop. If you want to do some Lindy Hop action, circa 1928 swing dancing, they're doing it at Alice Springs.
I've
there you
never
go,
done
on
this
your screen
before.
now.
Looks like fun.
Good times, good times. So that's at the Alice Springs Community Hall. Also, the Banff Film Festival World Tour is on the 13th of May.
So the Banff Film Festival is a short film festival about mountaineers and skiing and all of that sort of stuff.
It is.
Question, you used to live in Canada. Didn't they give you the keys to Banff?
One stage there, I was declared the unofficial mayor of Banff. Yeah, so it's a magical place, guys, and the footage that comes out of there is just next level.
I don't know how that happened.
I think it's association with the rugby club, and it was the closest thing there was to a gang in the town. So we sort of ran a bit of the show. It was great fun, great experience.
Hilarious. I feel like we need to explore more about what happened, but never mind. What happened? What's in Darwin?
So heaps going on in Darwin at the moment, guys. Million Paws Walk. Get your furry critters down there on the 16th of May. That's being held at Botanic Gardens this year instead of Jingly. Brown's Mart there. There's a Deadly Darwin, which is a whole bunch of Indigenous comedians rocking their stuff down there. There's a play reading of the comedy show Fat Pig by Neil LaBute.
And it's being directed by Sarah.
Our own Sarah Rubin.
Yeah.
So she'll be there directing that. So no, there's lots going on, guys, in Darwin at the moment. It's only going to snowball from here.
And Darwin Festival tickets, I believe, are already on sale.
They're already on sale for some of the shows.
Pre-tickets, not for all of the shows. But one of the shows that I'm really interested in is the Gurmal. The Bungal, which is dances and paintings, I think inspired by Gurmal, which I think would be very fascinating.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. You know, really special thing for all these tourists to see all these great nomads. They're going to love it.
Yeah, big time. But what else is happening in Catherine?
So in K-Town, we've got the NT Travelling Film Festival at Mataranka. We've also got the Big Rivers Create Twilight Makers Market at Gondomayan Yijard Rivers Arts and Cultural Centre.
Well, I wanted to jump in and say that one of the films showing there is called The Song Keepers, and it's. Do you know this movie?
Yeah, I know a lot of the women that are in it. You know,
it's about a choir, an Indigenous choir, is it? And they go to Germany.
Yeah, that's it. And you know, they're really wonderful women. They're really connected to country. You know, they're law women. So, you know. Yeah, it's a great film. People should watch it.
Yeah. Well, if you go to the Twilight Market, you can check that out. And then also Amy is doing a tour.
She is doing a tour, yeah. So will it be on her Facebook?
Yeah.
Or Facebook on the gram there? You'll be able to get tickets through her. So our own Amy Hetherington.
Yes. So many things, and lots of our people on the show are involved in so many things. So this week we talked with two guests on the show, as I mentioned before. AANT, and we also talked with Holly Scott, who is a guest speaker at an event that check our interview out that happened earlier today. I am here with Anthony and Holly. Thank you so much for joining us on the NT Recap. Now, you're here today because one of the largest youth driver awareness days is being put on at the Convention Centre in Darwin on the 11th of May. And now, I guess what it's an event that's taken place, AANT in partnership with the NT government and Motor Accidents Compensation Commission. And my understanding, I guess what blew my mind when I was reading some of these statistics, that in the past 10 years, I think it's 26 young drivers have died and 1,614 have been seriously injured. And you're bringing together 1,200 students and teachers from across the territory. So put it into perspective, that is everyone in that room represents someone who's died or been seriously injured and more on NT roads.
That's right, yeah, it's very sad, but it's actually 83. 83 have had, there's been fatalities, and that's in the 16 to 25 category drivers, so yeah, far too many, one's too many, and yeah, so tomorrow 1,200 students, all in the convention centre. It's the largest road safety event that we'll see in the territory. It's a very successful event that's been running in other jurisdictions for nearly over 10 years now. Yeah. And so yeah, we're very pleased to be able to bring it to the territory. I think it's going to be very impactful. One of the big things on the day that they will witness is an accident scene. It's a live accident scene where we actually cut someone out of the car, and it's set up to be live and real, and so it's significant, and it's going to be very impactful. And the day, I think, will be challenging for some kids, because it's we've got 6 speakers there on the day, the likes of Holly, who have obviously been victims of crashes, and will tell their story.
Now, Holly, what's the message? Because you're one of the guest speakers. What's the
Yes.
message that you wanted to get across?
There are so many messages I want to get across. You know, how the road toll, it's not just a number. Like that's a life lost on the road. That's someone's loved one. You're not invincible. Anything can happen in a second. It took seconds for something to go so wrong in my accident.
Tell us about you, because my understanding is you were driving in Adelaide and then
Yes.
you were involved in a car accident.
Yes, yeah. So I was driving to my partner's house at the time. I rang him that I was on my way home and I never made it home. So he had a gut feeling and he came looking for me and he was expecting to drive past the other way like nothing was wrong, and he found me a street away from his house with my car wrapped around a tree. So I was really lucky. It was, you know, it was regional areas as well. It's all back roads, and if he didn't find me, I wouldn't have made it. I overcorrected and hit the tree on my side of the car, so I took all the impact. Did a lot of damage, and it took a lot to recover. But nobody sees that. Nobody sees what a seriously injured person goes through. We didn't just survive, like what we have to go through to rebuild our life. It's a lot.
Yeah. And so I guess, as you were saying, the message is
Yeah.
to these young students
Yeah.
that you're not invincible and it takes a long time to recover.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a lot of people involved. And so, because one of the stats that I read was that 40% of young people don't take driving safely, you know,
That's
seriously.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the take-home messages for these students. Are there any other aims?
Absolutely. Throughout the day, there's probably 3 key areas that we want to deliver on, and that's really talking about the risks and what can happen if you take risks. Also about resilience as well. So the resilience is more about it's okay to say no. So if you're in a situation in a car with your mates and
Like someone's texting on their phone or something, and you're like, I don't want to get in the car.
Call
with
it
you.
out, call it out, or they're speeding, tell them to stop, pull over, get out.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to say no. And of course then the road safety message as well. So they're really the 3 areas that we're going to be covering off over the course of the day tomorrow.
Yeah, and then now one of the other things that I thought was fascinating when you put it into perspective is the teachers of road safety and driving in general. And there were lots of messages from children saying, well, young people. What were they saying?
So what they're saying is that you know the main teachers of road safety are their parents or caregivers. And so that was very high in response. The second part to that was we asked, have you actually witnessed your parents or caregivers speeding, texting, or in some cases drink driving?
Yeah.
And again, you know, around about 40% coming back saying yes, they have witnessed that. So whilst they're the major teachers of road safety, they're
also the breakers.
Also setting some bad examples as well. So it's really important.
I'm actually surprised that it's only 40%. I thought it actually would be more. I'm
higher,
sure some of those kids were protecting their parents when they when they did that. So they were like, oh, that was an interesting chat with them. Definitely some hard-hitting facts and stats in there. I hope that you take something away from this conversation today. It was a little bit of a tough show, but thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week on the NT Recap.